So here are 3 methods to influence the outcome of an interview to your favor. The first one, it's sometimes called as prepare to go off script, but really it's a plan B approach. In other words, the idea is that in a job interview things will not necessarily go as planned, and some candidates prefer to prepare a story, something that's not on their resume, that's something that maybe they felt uncomfortable putting on the resume, such as failure stories if you want, but something really a little bit more extreme about them. And the scenario in which you'd use this is if you feel like the conversation doesn't go your way, or if you feel like your performance is compromised and you need that to take a little bit more risk during this session, then you could eventually use these more personal or more special story about you in a last bit to make an impression. There are actually candidates preparing for these extreme stories, these experiences they would only want to share with the right type of interviewer. So keep this in mind and see if you have something, and most of us have something that have not really shared on our CVs and do not enjoy talking about because they are complicated things. So if you have something like this, definitely prepare this as your B plan, right? The second one would be to really spin your answers, even to positively framed questions, with failure stories. The reason being because if you talk about failure, chances are you will emphasize more on your capability, on your ability to learn. So for instance, if there's a time when you had to deliver something on a tight deadline for the right type of candidate, and if you feel comfortable talking about a small failure maybe into which you narrowly missed a deadline, but in turn the learning was the main thing, the main takeaway of that story. So if you could spin that story in this way, I know plenty of candidates, especially for more senior types of roles, that prefer to highlight their ability to deliver with a failure story. So this is something perfectly possible for the right type of candidate. And again, if you feel, to the extent that you feel comfortable communicating answers to behavioral questions. And the third tip to literally outsmart your interviewer, if you want, is to make them look good in a job interview, because after all, the job interview is a subjective event. So no matter how much structure you add to it, no matter how many notes they take, it's also, a rather biased decision that they will have to take. If they like it, the better you connect with them, also your chances will improve that you'll get a favorable recommendation. So what are some tips to influence them to your favor? Well, you should start by making them look good. For instance, whenever they say something, you should always nod in approval, like always agree with them, you always understand them, you always listen to them. They are important, right? This would be the first. Some candidates go as far as to refer them by their name directly. Hey Dan, how are you? It could be something that might work for you. It doesn't work for everyone, needless to say, but if you feel like you can take this type of risk, definitely do it. And another way maybe to better connect with them on a personal level is to ask them questions such as, what did you do yesterday, right? And maybe opening the conversation, that rapport building process. So by finding common ground with people, you often better connect with them. So this third one again was to really make them look and feel good for these jobs interview. So this was my top 3 tips. Prepare to go off script with that extra story. Answer even positively framed questions with failures to highlight on the behavior, on the idea that you want to transmit. And last but not least, make them feel and look good in a job interview. So hopefully you found this useful.